Welcome back in here on WQAM. Hope everyone is having a good morning so far. We're going to head out to the Toyota of Hollywood hotline. Shop over 2,000 Toyotas on sale at one location. Toyota of Hollywood on 441 between Hollywood and Sheridan. ToyotaofHollywood.com, where we are joined by our friend Chris Perkins. He is the Miami Dolphins columnist for the Sun Sentinel. Perk, good morning. How you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing good. I want to see how truthful Sullivan and Hafley are up at the combine. This is going to be a big test for me. It's not what they get asked; it's how they answer questions like Tua and all that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to this week for a lot of reasons.
Omar is smiling ear to ear right now, so I'm going to let Omar.
You know they're only going to say bull crap, Chris.
Right. I know. Oh, this is where we get the BS meter gets its first test today, this week, right?
Absolutely. I'll later on I'll play some of the questions so you can do your best tap dance version. But I believe Hollywood wants to ask you about my numerous altercations with players and if anybody wants to ever fight you.
Yeah, Omar went over his and the guys that he's fought with, and his are well documented. Perk, have you ever been confronted by a player in the locker room or like gotten into it with a player in the locker room? Any of the sports that you've covered?
You know what? I've gotten into it. It's rare for me because I try to criticize in a certain way.
Unlike Omar.
Yes, absolutely.
I got David Jones, the ex-Heat player who is in trouble for some gambling, called me at home once, and because I called him a journeyman in a story. And he thought journeyman was a bad thing. And I was like, no, hey, man, it just means that you've been to a bunch of different cities, a bunch of teams, and you haven't really stuck with one. But he thought I was calling him a scrub. So we went back and forth on that one.
You mean you called him employed and he took offense?
I called him a journeyman. I called him a journeyman. And he got he did not like that at all. I got into it with Dwayne Wade once, but it wasn't a bad thing. This was when they were going to the Olympics in 2008 in China, and him and LeBron and a bunch of players were going to market their stuff. And I talked to Pat Riley about it, and Pat was like, "Ooh, I don't like them dealing with communists and blah blah blah." So Pat was very much against it, and so I talked to Pat like at 3:00 on a Friday, and the column was due at like 5 on a Friday. I didn't have a chance to go back to Dwayne, so Dwayne was upset that I thought that I was kneecapping him and making him look bad. And I was like, dude, I didn't have a chance to go back to you. But that's, pretty much it's me with it's coaches. I had the defensive coordinator for UM, Bill Miller, stopped talking to me for an entire year because he thought I was too hard on the team. So it's usually not players with me. I get into it more with coaches, actually.
Hey, Perk, on the flip side, who is your favorite that you've covered down here? Give me a few of your favorites. Now, we got to flip it to a positive here because you're a positive guy. So who are some of your favorites that you've covered down here over your years?
Gosh, well, I mean, there's obviously the superstars of Jason Taylor and Zach Thomas and Dwayne and Shaq and LeBron. Chris Bosh was a great one. Yeah. Look, Aronde Gadsden, O.J. McDuffie, great guys to be around. A lot of the guys on the Heat from – you take some common players like Travis Best, a little guard who was there, and a little guard. That's Pat Riley used to call him my three little guards. There was Travis Best, Mike James, and I can't remember the third one. But anyway, he was good. There's a bunch of dudes who were Jermaine O'Neal was great to talk to. The backup quarterbacks, I tell you this, are a great source of information because they can break down the game to you. You can just ask them, why did they do this? Why did you guys do this? So I talked to Skyler, I talked to Mike White. Talked to Zach Wilson. There's a Landon Roberts was great to talk to. John Jenkins, great to talk to. A bunch. I usually go to the vets, Deshaun Elliott, guys like that, like the hard heads, the vets, the guys who don't take any BS, who have been through it. Those are usually the guys that I talk to and go to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, Perk knew Deshaun Elliott thought the Dolphins were a soft bunch of bees. That whole
Yep. He did.
Yeah, it was like, man, this is a soft team, man.
Yep.
Perk, let's get to some of this combine. Obviously, we don't know John Eric Sullivan. We don't know Halfley. So we have no idea what they're going to say, but we've been through this song and dance before where it's basically like, yeah, this whole team, that was their problem. That's how they built it. We're not responsible for fixing everything. Yeah. How do you fix this mess, Perk? Because they're in a cap crisis. They're in a, unlike most seasons, there's no way to create cap room here, Perk. They kind of are bottomed out in terms of be a little bit of creativity. How do you fix this situation? Maybe put yourself in position to go get Malik Willis.
You know what? I think really for Sullivan and Halfley, job one is attitude and getting the right attitude in that building, from players to coaches to management. Make sure that everybody knows what you want out there on the field and that they're capable of delivering it. So you don't want guys who are going to come late to practice. You don't want guys who aren't going to push themselves through injuries. Make sure that the mentality is correct. So to me, that's what you're kind of doing this season, because you're right. They don't have money to go out and really make any difference-making acquisitions in free agency. This is all about the draft, and this is all about getting in players who have that mentality of Aaron Brewer and Jordan Brooks and Devon Achane and guys like that, Patrick Paul, that you want guys with that mentality of, if you're in my way, I'm taking you out. And that's the type of team that you want to build. So to me, this year is about establishing what you want from people, coaches, scouts, everybody.
You're selling me bullcrap, right? Because
no,
doesn't everybody want those players? Everybody wants Jordan Brooks. Everybody wants Aaron Brewer, guys who play through injury and bring toughness and that. Who doesn't want that, Perk?
The Dolphins didn't have that the last 4 years, and they didn't seek those type of players. They sought the type of players who were speedy players and kind of didn't have the necessary toughness. There's talk that James Daniels didn't push himself last year through the injury, and that's why the Dolphins don't want him back. You want some tougher players. You want guys who are going to push, who are going to sacrifice for the team. That's what I mean. You can't tell me that you thought the Dolphins had that last 4 seasons. I mean, they didn't have the necessary toughness and physicality and the right mentality that you need to beat good teams out there. I don't think you had it anywhere in the organization. Anybody who hands out contract extensions after that 2023 season, like they did, had some major accomplishment, you need an attitude adjustment throughout the organization. And to me, that's what this season is about.
Chris Perkins from the South Florida Sun Sentinel here with us. Perk, we have talked a little bit this morning about some of the stars, I guess, for this Dolphins team. We call them stars. Yep. Achane, Waddle being a couple of them. At what point do guys just say, all right, I don't want to be a part of this anymore? Like Achane he's looking for a contract. He's in the prime of his career. Is he going to be, a good soldier and just kind of, take the beating for the next couple of years, or do we have to move on from these kinds of guys?
That's exactly what you're going to try to find out this season. What type of guy do you have? And that's what Sully and Half are going to find out. Like, does Brew want to be here as a 28-year-old with a multi-year contract and a chance to set a tone and a chance to be a foundational player, or does he want to go somewhere and take shots at making the playoffs and making a playoff run with another team? That's the type of stuff you have to find out from Brew and from Achane and from Jordan Brooks. Are they going to stick with us, even if we give them a contract this year that's not going to be as lucrative as whoever else could give to them, Carolina or whoever? What type of player do we have here? And that's exactly what I'm talking about. That's what this season is about. Attitude, mentality. What is your mindset? Do you want to be here Will you take a little bit less money? Do you want to be part of this? Do you understand our
So hold on,
situation?
Perk. I'm supposed to take less money to be part of the team to make you feel comfortable?
Oh, that's look. If you don't want to, you know, if you're Brew and if you're Jordan Brooks, you know that this team is cash strapped. Your agent has explained it to you. So if
how is that my problem? How is that my problem?
It's not. Oh, that's what I'm saying. That so if you're Sullivan and Hafley, you're finding out that these dudes want to be here, because if you don't, if you're like what I think Minka's deal is, I don't think Minka wants to be a part of this.
Hell
and I
no.
think that's no, and so they don't want him there. So they will try to trade him this week. They will have Drew talk to other teams or whatever. But that's what you're finding out this year. If you don't want to be here, you don't have to be here. We don't want you here.
Oh,
to
sure.
me, that's a large part of this season. And I wouldn't blame Brew or Jordan Brooks if they didn't want to be part of it. I don't blame Minka. But you've got to find out. You don't want to sign guys to multi-year contracts that are only here for the money.
If you offer me the right amount of money, then I want to be here. If you don't, then I don't want to be here. Perk, it's kind of pretty simple. What do you think they get up there and say today at the NFL Combine when they hit the podium when asked about Tua? Is Tua part of the Miami Dolphins organization moving forward, Chris Perkins? What is your answer, John Eric Sullivan?
If I'm Sully, I'm going to say we're trying to work through that still at this point, that we are exploring our options. And Tua knows the situation. I've been in touch with Tua.
You're giving me we're exploring our options. Is that your answer? That's your answer?
Oh yeah. Because look, I don't think I think everybody knows that they're exploring options. Right? I think the decision has been made personally. But if I'm the Dolphins, I'm telling people, yes, we're still talking to teams about possible trades. We're still thinking about keeping Tua. We don't know what we're going to do. It depends on free agency and the draft and blah, blah, blah. I don't think you're going to get up there and say, we've made a decision. We're going to announce it at 5 p.m. today. I think they're going to say we're still exploring options, but I think the decision has been made. They're going to part ways with Tua this season and break that salary up into 2 seasons post June 1st designation.
So is getting rid of Tua, in your mind, Chris Perkins, losing $11 million in cap space, is that good business?
Oh, heck yeah. I want that. Again, this is a fresh start. I want that mentality out of the building, that the Chris Greer, Mike McDaniel, Tua, Tyreek Hill led mentality and team. And not that they had a bad mentality or a loser's mentality, but it's an old mentality. It didn't work. I don't want that on my team. This is a fresh start. So those 4, Greer, McDaniel, Tua, Tyreek, have to be gone. And then we'll deal with Brew and Jordan Brooks and anybody else.
What about Waddle? What about Waddle?
Before you get to Waddle, though, has anyone done themselves, Perk, a bigger disservice than Tua? I mean, this guy just never endeared himself to this community, to this fan base, to the media. Like, I know that a lot of people seem to like him when he was playing well, but I don't know, man. He just never played the role of quarterback down here. And the way people are turning on this guy, I wonder if he learned his lesson down here. Maybe his next stop, he'll be more successful, kind of, getting into the community and just being more a part of like everything that's going on and kind of playing the role of QB1.
I thought Tua did fine. Tua was not fake, and that's what I can respect about Tua. He's not a warm, friendly, sociable guy.
Yes, he is.
He is, but he lives in Tua world.
He does.
But don't you have to play the part?
What did Ryan Tannehill play the part?
Yeah, and Ryan Tannehill sucked. But if you're going to be QB1, if you're going to be QB1, don't you have to like have a little bit of a little junk to you? You know, and I'm not saying he's got to be Dan Marino, but like, don't you have to have a little bit of that QB1 personality in you, which is maybe why someone like Dan Marino should take a look at these guys and be like, hey, I see a little of myself in him.
He definitely.
Hollywood, I think you got to be yourself, and that's the main thing. I don't know who was the last like real swaggy quarterback. I guess maybe Ryan Fitzpatrick, but
he was swaggy.
Yeah, and guys like playing with him.
That's true.
Guys
you're
love
right.
Guys like playing with Tua.
But they did. But Tua and Matt Moore and Ryan Tannehill. I mean, Matt Moore was kind of low key swaggy, but you have to be yourself. You don't want the quarterback out there. He turns on podium mode every time he's up there in front of the microphone. Tua, look, I mean, the fans have turned on Tua, but I think it's mostly performance related, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, in 2022 and 2023. The dude was Teflon. He could do no wrong. But then in 2024, when he has the concussion again and the hip, and the team has the losing record, and they come back with another losing record, and Tua starts sticking his foot in his mouth, then it's not so it's not so acceptable. I thought Tua was fine. He didn't go. He wasn't warm and fuzzy, Woody. I hear what you're saying, but I thought Tua was fine. He was himself. That's what I like.
All right. As someone who plays a fraud in the morning here, most days, Perk, I just think you got to turn it on. When the lights are on, you got to turn it on a little bit.
You got fraud written up. You got fraud professionally done.
That's showmanship.
I like to be a very quiet recluse in my personal life, but you got to turn it on when the lights are on, Perk. Come on.
Tua was unique and authentic. Here's my question. Here's my question to you, Perk. Do you think there is a possible taker for Tua Tagovailoa? I throw in, I'm covering $30 million of the contract. I'm also going to give you a 5th-round pick. Can I find Tua a new home?
Well, can I follow up really quick, Perk, by saying that don't you have to tailor your offense very specifically towards Tua, which is why, in my opinion, he's not a suitable backup, because you have to design an offense specifically for him or you're going to get him killed.
Yeah, there's a little bit of truth to that, Hollywood. I'll say this, though. Whether he's a starter or a backup, he's still immobile and he's still a high injury risk. And so, yes, you do have to call plays in a way that protects Tua. I'm against the Dolphins giving a draft pick to facilitate a Tua trade, because at this point, those picks are so valuable. And I know it's only a 5th-round pick, but maybe that's your next Dante Trader or your next Jordan Phillips and a role player. And, for me, Tua right now is more of a financial thing than a, let's see how we can recoup some of this. I just write it off to that money is lost, and I'm not going to give a draft pick and make a bad situation worse. Now I'm out money and draft pick.
Don't forget,
I'm keeping this to a financial transaction. I got into this mess. I'll get out of this mess, even though it's a different regime. I'm going to limit this to finances, and I'm not throwing talent in to get rid of a mistake.
Yeah, see, this is where I don't necessarily agree with everybody, and I get that people want to move on from Tua, and he's all that was wrong with the Miami Dolphins. He's the reason why this franchise has failed the last 6 years. Yada yada yada. But I'm spending the money anyway.
Right.
I'm losing cap space getting rid of him.
Yep.
I don't see the reason why I want to lose $11 million when I could just have him here as a backup or put him on IR and not lose $11 million. I'm paying it anyway, which is why I don't understand. Everybody's like, oh, we got to get rid of him. Oh, he's such a problem. Like, Tua ain't done nothing to nobody.
No, he hasn't. No. Tua, look, I say, which is not a popular opinion, I think the organization failed Tua because they knew Tua had limitations, but instead of building around those limitations, they thought they could coach him through those, right? So it's like, well, we know that he's immobile, but we can design plays where he doesn't have to. We don't have to use a quarterback.
He wasn't always immobile, Perk. Stop it. He could move.
He's never been an agile, mobile quarterback. That's never been a strength of Tua.
When he bowled over that Jets safety.
Yeah, he always looked awkward when he ran, though.
I mean, listen, when he was coming out of college, he was the #1 dual threat college quarterback. I mean, high school quarterback. So y'all stop. listen.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Things are a little different when you're
A
playing.
lot of long
Alabama.
time ago, a lot of injuries. Remember early early when we were like, "What's wrong with you, Tua?" And he was like, "Yeah, my ankles. I can't run no more."
Yeah.
And we're just like, "Tua, you just being too damn honest. Stop."
That's probably not something that you should say out loud in public, like Josh Allen is better than me or stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't think anybody is. I wouldn't pay the Dolphins anything for Tua because they're going to cut him free. And if I'm another team, I just don't view Tua as essential personnel, either as a starter or a starting candidate or a backup. So I would wait for the Dolphins to cut him loose. There's no reason to pay Tua anything above the minimal amount I have to pay him. That's how I view it as another team.
Well, Perk, I want to thank you for the time today, and we'll certainly check out your work in the Sun Sentinel and see what your thoughts are on today's comments, and we'll see if we get any breaking news out there as well today. But we'll be following along on the Sun Sentinel today. Perk, thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Have a good week.
All right. Chris Perkins. Boy, a lot of stuff to digest from that one there.